Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to a special show this afternoon. Had a little extra time and we're going to have some fun. So get ready. Get everything set up here. Go live on Instagram. Get all the messages sent out. And I'll tell you what we're doing. Put a message on Facebook. Hope you're having a great Thursday afternoon, wherever you are. Let me know where you're listening or watching. I guess it would be watching at this point. I have the phone lines set up. Yes. Ooh. Run Disney alerts. Dumbo Double Dare is open. The half is open. The 10K is open right now as of 27 seconds ago. Run. If you want to sign up for the races in Disneyland for January, run. 10K open, half open. Dumbo Double Dare open. Only thing that's closed 5K, kids races, and yoga. Run like the wind. Phone lines will be open. Are you home? Hey, Must See Adventures. Are you home or are you at work? You know why I'm asking. And by the way, you know how I told you what I was working on, Scotty G? We are ready to go. That was high on the list today. Does that not loop back? You're working from home. Nice. Well, if you want to jump in, let me know and I'll send you a link. But you're probably working. But if you're not working, let me know. Because we could have fun for 30 minutes. Okay, before I do this, before I get started, let me I gotta open up the vent. It is hot in here. The vent is open. Let me turn the air down. It is hot. It was freezing this morning. It got down to 40s this morning when I was walking. There we go. All right, let me do this, and then we're going to get started with what I have planned. There, I sent you the link, Scotty G. If you want to come in, feel free. If not, I get it. It's the middle of the workday. Okay, so here is what we are going to do. Are we not live on the Facebook page? Let's see. Let me check. Sorry, we'll get going. I promise here in 1 second. Oh, we are. Okay, close that out. Shout out to everybody over on Instagram. A lot of folks checking out over on Instagram. Hello, Be Heard Photography. What is going on? Check here one thing, and then we're going to keep saying that we are. Photography. All right, let's do this. Okay, let's start this with the house band. Why not? This is going to end up probably being Mike in the Midwest episode 213 for Sunday is what I'm guessing. Hey, Cheryl and Dion. Dion is so cool. I want to live a life like Dion, only I don't have the guts to take on the Batwing suit, but I love the pictures. Every time I see him, I'm like, I've met that guy. He's like the closest to Batman I've ever met in my life. Dion, hope you're doing well. Cheryl, hope you're doing great as well over in Berlin. I'm actually Scott knows, big TV right behind the monitor here. Always have it on. I just on mute, and I'm watching old episodes of The Amazing Race on Pluto TV, and I believe they're in Copenhagen, Denmark, and they were just in Berlin. So I am watching your part of the world today as I work. All right. So here is what we are going to do. We are going to record just a fun kind of show since I bailed on you guys on Sunday night. I feel terrible about that. Kind of catch up on what's going on. And with school starting here in the States, I thought hopefully we could get a call or two about teachers and maybe a teacher that made a difference in your life, just to put out there for Mike in the Midwest on Sunday for the Patreon show. Even if you're not a patron, it would be nice just to have it out there for everybody to hear that is patrons. That'd be kind of fun. And of course, this show will be here on the socials as well. So let's do this. Start with the house band, I guess. Oh, I got to turn that down. I had that way up because of the chainsaw. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to BOGP in the afternoon. It's a new concept. It's a new idea here on Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. I'm your host, Mike Rollin from BRGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. You know that because we've been going strong since 2008, back in the iTunes days. Back when you had to sync an iPod or a Microsoft Zune to get your content. It's a lot easier nowadays. Just pull that phone out of your pocket and bam, there we are, 5 different locations. We are here on a Thursday afternoon in the dead center of the United States of America. And I just wanted to check in and say hey to everybody because it's been one heck of a week around these parts. And we didn't have a live show on Sunday night. So I was kind of missing everybody. I just wanted to fill you in on, that and just get some content here because this is probably going to be Mike in the Midwest for this week. And I had an idea that I wanted to use for this episode, but I thought it would be better if we could get some more voices to add to the show because, and I'm going to let you know the phone lines are open right now at 407-413-9395. That's 407-413-9395. Put the number right there on the screen for you if you're watching. And what I'm hoping to get today are a couple of stories, hopefully maybe 3 stories of a teacher that made a difference in your life. And I'm going to share 1 or 2 of my own that really still stick with me, 40 years later, that a teacher did something that really I still remember the day. It could have been a December day, could have been a March day, could have been, the first day of school. But is there a teacher that went the extra mile for you that made a difference, that maybe helped you decide what you wanted to be, that you are still today, your profession, or that just made you discover an undiscovered talent, something like that? So I'd love to hear any teacher stories that you have because, of course, it is back to school time. And what I've noticed is that Disney fans and teachers, there are a lot of, if you draw a Venn diagram, there's a lot of teachers that are Disney fans. As you guys know, I spent 17 years teaching elementary school. I taught gifted. I taught 2nd grade. I taught 5th grade. Most of my time I spent teaching 6th grade general ed. And actually I taught next door to my wife, which was very cool. That was a nice thing to do. And one of the things that I noticed in my elementary school, Wedgwood Elementary back in the day, where I spent a lot of time, and I loved that school, was it was overwhelming how much of our staff were Disney fans. Our principal, huge Disney fan. Her office was all kinds of Disney stuff. If a kid got sent to the office, it was like going to the Emporium. It was unbelievable. It was so cool down there. The assistant principal still, her office was all Disney. I actually spent a week at Walt Disney World with her and her niece because she was there at the same time we were. and we worked together. She was assistant principal. I was a teacher. We had a good relationship. Pam and we were all there together. We had a great time. And I've noticed that teachers and Disney fans kind of one and the same. Oh, Eric, I didn't see your call. Sorry, my computer had blanked out. Eric, give us a call back and I'll grab you in here because I want to hear those teacher stories. But what I would love to hear is just how a teacher made a difference. Maybe that's why you're a teacher today. Maybe that's why you're a lawyer. Maybe that's why you're a coach. Maybe that's why you work in the medical field. Maybe they helped you discover a love of science or a love of the arts. I would just like to share those stories because I think it would be great to have something out here to encourage our teachers as they get back into the classroom. Because I think the best thing we can do for teachers in a new school year is say thank you and encourage them for getting in there and doing the work that they do. So, all right, phone lines are open, 407-413-9395. And our friend Eric, who works in education out in Connecticut, joining us to lead off the show. Eric, hey, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. How are you?
I am doing a lot better than I was Sunday night.
Yeah, great. It's almost back to work for us, but you know how teachers like to do the little talk therapy sessions every now and then? Have like this little tiny beginning of the year scheduling vent, and then I'll get into the Disney teacher connection.
Hey, that's perfect.
Our schedule this year, our calendar this year, has the students coming back this Friday, then having a 3-day weekend, and then doing a 4-day week.
Yes.
And all of us were looking at this calendar like, what on earth are you trying to do to us? This is like a wasted day. This is silly. This makes no sense.
It is.
But, at least we get one of our days done.
That's what I was going to say. At least it's one more day closer to summer in the next year. That's, check it off. And it'll be an easy day because you'll be like there and that day will go super quickly. I always try to see the glass half full kind of thing. And here's the other thing. That day would all be about, and this as a teacher, right? All about procedures. That's all that day would be.
Right. And then they just forget them. And we do it again on Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Well, like I said, it's a little thing, but we like to get together and complain about things like this. That's what the teachers are for. It's about complaining and successes.
Absolutely.
Anyway, you were talking about the teacher connection. Our school has 16 teachers in it, and there are 4 of us who are all going to Disney with our families in February. There's 4 of us are just those hardcore Disney fans who go down there at least once a year. So you are completely right. There is this huge connection between teachers and Disney. And I think it's just like that sense of, to be a teacher, you still have to be connected a little bit to childhood.
Yes.
You have to understand it. You have to be able to see things through their eyes. And Disney is really good at bringing you into that space of seeing things through a children's eyes. And we as teachers just really appreciate it on that level. I think that's the main reason we have that connection.
I've thought about this for years because I noticed it really heavily. We had DVC members in our elementary school. I remember Mrs. Vortreed and her family. I mean, down the hall, she was Paige's 3rd grade teacher. She was the best teacher in the building. We made sure Paige had her for sure. But I mean, DVC members, and we would talk about, going to the Halloween party, going to the Christmas party, breaking news. We'd always talk, and her room was always decorated. She was so visually artistic, and her son was an art teacher as well in the district. Just awesome looking. But the thing is you mentioned that too, but I think too with teachers, there's this eternal optimism in teaching, right? Because if there wasn't an eternal optimism, you couldn't really walk through the threshold of your classroom every day thinking that you can make a difference. Because in many cases, and I taught in a district that didn't have all the resources, right? I taught in Ferguson, Missouri during those riots, if you remember that, back in 2014.
Yep,
our town was burning down, and we had all this, just everybody was against each other, and it was a big mess. But the thing was, through that, our classrooms became the safest place you could be. It became the family. It's like we rallied together and said, nobody's getting within us. They're not breaking us, because we've been together before this happened. We're going to be through this afterwards. But it's that eternal optimism. And I think with Disney, every story pretty much has an optimistic point of view. And I
Mhm.
think it's kind of the same thing.
Even the most cynical teacher, the one who's been doing this for years and just kind of rolls her eyes at the principal or every new initiative, and everyone has that person at work, is optimistic, feeling that they are making a difference, they can do something, they can reach these kids, and we really do see ourselves as their safe space.
And
We
that's
are the
that's the
place
hope.
where we want to be able to provide education, but also we want to be able to provide a community, a sense of comfort that some of these students don't have outside of the school sometimes, unfortunately. And Disney also works really hard to do that type of thing in a vacation realm. They want to, even though we say, oh, they've made it so hard, they really do make it as easy as possible, to make everything as comforting as possible, to make everything the best it can while they're there. And yeah, I appreciate that about them.
That's a great point. Now, real quick, Eric, before you go, do you have a story or anything you'd like to share from like a teacher from your childhood, or maybe somebody that guided you down the path to where you are today?
Gosh, man, I think that's so hard because like there's so many people. There
I
was
agree.
in third grade, Mr. Besher. This was in the time in a school small enough where the principal was also a teacher. And my teacher before, like I was a lousy student, and she and I did not get along. I was kind of like the wise guy in class, and Mr. Besher spent a lot of time on me. He spent a lot of time talking to me. He spent a lot of time, really showing me the value of myself and education. And all throughout this, I have never forgotten him. I don't know if he's why I'm a teacher today, but I wouldn't be a teacher today if not for him.
That's that's such a legacy, right? I mean, that's one of
Yeah.
those things that teachers are so underappreciated. They're absolutely underappreciated. My wife goes out the door every morning and I see, like today it's her second day with students and
Mhm.
it's optimistic still. But come and it'll, she's in maybe her last year of teaching. She's towards the end of her career and she's
Mhm.
she's one of the best teachers I've ever seen. Taught at the university level. She's helped develop teachers and curriculum and all kinds of stuff throughout her career. But the thing is, teachers get beat down because it's just so much is asked of them. But the thing is, they keep showing up, and there's a legacy there because it's there is a student there every day, and you never know. You never know because, like, Mr.
Mhm.
Slaywin was my seventh grade social studies teacher. I never told him the impact he had on me. I never voiced that. I never verbally had a conversation with him, but his lessons, the way he delivered them, that it wasn't just content, it was more about character every day. It was kind of both.
Yeah. You
It
know,
stuck with me. It was seventh grade. I mean, I'm so old right now, but I mean, I still remember that. It wasn't just about civics. It was more about responsibility and character and things like that. And I thought that was so cool.
I am blessed to be the school librarian because I get to see how the students develop and change between kindergarten and the time they leave the door in fifth grade. And I think that a lot of teachers in the classroom don't get to see how what they did in first grade, the way they organized things, or the way they taught character, or the way they taught something, really can show up when they're leaving in fifth grade. They
Mhm.
don't see, their development as a whole. And we specialists do. And it really is a blessing to see them grow and mature. It does hurt sometimes though when you see them walk out the door and you hope you've done well for them, but you just kind of never really know that you've done right by them. You hope you do, and you're optimistic that you do. But there's always this question in the back of a teacher's mind: did I do well? Did I help the student the way that we could have?
No.
We hope that we did. We're optimistic that we did. We think we did, but sometimes we just never know.
but you're in the right profession because when you taught as long as I did, and especially as long as my wife, she's again wrapping up her career, is that unfortunately, when you teach 25 plus years, or like I did 17 years, and you teach sixth grade, these students, they graduate high school, they go to college, they go to trade school, they just get jobs, go into the military, they go on with their lives. And you will see every once in a while one of your former students on the news that committed a crime or something, be arrested, and you'll see their picture right there on the news. And it just, it's like it breaks your heart because you don't see them as like a
Yeah.
19-year-old person who made a bad choice. You see them as that student who you were sitting down and having a conversation with at lunch about something, as a 11-year-old. But I mean, I think when you still have that in your heart, that your heart breaks for them, even as a 22-year-old adult, or a 30-year-old adult, that you're where you need to be because your heart's still there.
Conversely, so there are times when you do see the student who's really achieved. I remember, and this was from early in my career, I was running a kind of like, it was a competition. We called it Book Bowl, where you read a bunch of books and you answer questions for them as a team. And our school's team had this one kid who knew he was the smartest on the team, and he was just being a jerk to everybody else on the team, interrupting them, cutting them off. And I said, dude, I'm going to kick you off the team. And he said, no, you're not. I'm the best person on this team. You need me. And I said, well, okay, you're off the team. And the parent was upset. The teacher was upset, but I held my gun. And then, oh God, 10 years later, I'm walking through the festival in town, and a mother comes up to me and he goes, are you Mr. Lane? You taught at so-and-so. You kicked my son off the team. I want you to know that he is now a scholarship student at this private school for football. And he still says, I got to listen to the coach because I don't want to get kicked off the team. Like Mr. Lane told me, I have to work for the team. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like for years, I wondered if that one thing had a negative effect on him or a positive effect on them. And I thought about the blowback I got. And then I realized that, yeah, I made a connection to this student that really did help him succeed. And there are all these little moments that you just don't know, and you hope they worked out well.
Yeah, and I mean,
so I want everyone out there, if you had a teacher who did something like that, who did something that you at first thought might have been a negative, or you pushed back and then you saw how it was positive and how it affected them, drop that teacher an email. Yes. Let them know that you affected them positively, because that'll give them enough fuel to last throughout the entire year.
It will last them last a lifetime. A lifetime. They will never delete that email. Yeah. They'll print it out, they'll hard copy it, and they'll keep it. That's what a chance, though. I mean, a chance encounter that you had that you got to keep this, because whether you lose the hard copy of the email, it's in your heart forever. You made a difference. Yes. And that's it. Getting back to Disney, I mean, isn't this just like in One Man's Dream when they show the film? It's like Walt said, every person needs a little kick in the teeth, a little bit young in life, right? To get everything right. Yeah. You got to understand, man, life has consequences, but you gave those consequences and you learn. It's better to learn young than to learn later. Yeah. That's right.
Learn it in 4th or 5th grade, when you can go on to the next school and there's a cleanish slate when you get to middle school, and you can take that lesson to heart.
Eric, I'd love to have you as the librarian specialist at my school anytime. We'd make a good team.
Thank you. All right. You have a great rest of the day. Good luck to your wife on her, what did you say was her second day?
Today's her second day with students. Of course, she's had 17 days of orientation week, it feels like, but she's ready. She's so professionally developed. She's overdeveloped at this point. She's overexposed, but she's good to go.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope she has a great year. And to all the other teachers out there, I hope you have great years too.
You too, Eric. You have a great one, and stay in touch. It's good to talk to you, my friend.
All right. Good to talk to you.
All right. Bye-bye. Talk to you later. All right, 407-413-9395. What a great call. Eric is out there every day in the trenches, helping these students develop into the people that they need to become. And I just love hearing that. And I love that we have this avenue that we can open up the phone lines, share stories like this, And I would love to have more. So give me a call, 407-413-9395. We have another call coming in. I love this. You're making my Thursday afternoon. This is great. Hey, who's joining us? Who's next?
Hi, this is Abby in Indiana.
Hey, Abby in Indiana. What's going on out your way? Is it as gorgeous out in Indiana as it is in Missouri? It is beautiful.
It's like 80, so it feels cold based off of how hot it has been.
I was gonna say, if you think 80 is cold, come on,
too
it's
much.
perfect. It's perfect, Abby. Because come on, it's great. It's awesome. So when do you go down? You're going down to Florida soon, right?
Yeah, I guess like 12 days.
Oh, I got to ask you just kind of side note before we get into the teaching stuff. What did you think about the D23 announcements? Because you're an uber Disney fan. What, excited, nervous, scared? Where do you fall on all this change?
The biggest thing, I'm sad about Dinosaur. I love Dinosaur. That's one of my favorites. I love Indiana Jones too. So like, as long as they do it justice, I'll be fine with it. But like, I'm gonna miss Dr. Seeker.
That's true. He's the awkward little scientist, but he's cool. Yes. Mm-hmm. One extra dino. What was it? Jumbo size or something. I gotta learn the line. It's gonna go away forever. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I will miss Dinosaur too. I like Dinosaur. But it seems like we're in the minority. Most people don't like Dinosaur. We're the few.
I just think like it's one of those like silly rides, and for the most part, it doesn't wait longer than like 30, 40 minutes.
Yep.
So once something gets longer than 40 minutes, I tend not to like it as much because I'm like, it actually takes effort to ride it. Whereas it's not just like a walk on or something you can easily rope drop.
That's true. You know, one of my favorite things about that ride is, and you know this, I'm sure you know this, but I bet you there's one listener out there that might not realize this, but ride it before it's out. Is it when they have the pneumatic tubes above your head, like in the queue? Mm-hmm. They're painted red, yellow, and white. Do you know why, right?
It's the ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise, right?
Correct. Because who is the sponsor of the attraction?
McDonald's.
That's right. Look at this. You can't slide one past you. You know your stuff. I see. I love that. Like that's kind of, back when it was Countdown to Extinction. Yeah. Cool.
I think that was a little before my time, unfortunately.
See, I'm old. I mean, I'm old as dirt. I'm as old as the dinosaurs in there, so it's like my relatives, basically. That's what my grandma would have said. She used to say, we're going to the zoo to see our relatives. That's what she'd say every time we went to the zoo. Never got old. My grandma just said it every single time. Like she's cracked up every time. Grandma.
That was her line.
That was her line, man. Grandma Ruth. That was it. Every time. Oh, let's go. We're going to see the relatives. Anyway, so education. We're talking about education today. So you got a teacher story?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of give a shout out to my high school French teacher. I started his class in 8th grade and took it for 5 years. And ironically, he is also a big Disney fan.
Nice. So what made this teacher stand out?
He just really went the extra mile for me and my friend group. During the pandemic, he let us eat lunch in his classroom so we could all sit together and not have to sit with random people based off of a random assigned table, or he had let us use the microwave. Just little things like that. If we ever needed to complain about another class or something, we knew we could do it to him and he would not go tell that teacher or anything.
So this teacher offered a safe haven, where you could be with your, Mallory talks about the same thing at her high school. There's a couple teachers where they're basically coaches usually for different sports, football coaches or whatever, because she's a cheerleader. And I'm like, you just like the teacher because they let you get away with murder, basically. But see, the thing is, I was the same way in high school. I tell her this, but I was an athlete in high school, right? I played varsity sports. And the thing was, when I was in high school, I mean, looking back, this is forever ago, but we got away with murder too. Now I was an honor student. I took honors classes. I took the hardest classes that were offered and that, took dual enrollment and stuff like that for, I was getting college credit in high school and all that stuff because my parents just forced me. They wanted me to always work hard. But we got away with, I mean, don't get me wrong. If the teachers, and the thing was, I've told this, just a little heads up that we're talking teachers today, but I'm talking to the students right now, the kids that are high school kids. 90% of high school is just play in the game. If the teachers like you, if you're a likable student, life is going to be so much easier. Just be polite, be kind to the teachers, and do what they say, and just like interact with them in an appropriate way. High school can be so much fun. I had so much fun in high school. I loved it because I played sports. I was involved in all kinds of clubs. It was the greatest time. Did you enjoy I bet you enjoyed high school too.
I would not go back to high school personally, but I also think I went to high school during like such a weird time.
True. Yeah.
Because like it was the end of sophomore year when like COVID just kind of made everything go from being potential to be fun to like constant rules. And then it seems like in my district, once they realized how many rules they could enforce, like because of the pandemic, they just kind of kept adding like random rules.
It happens. Yeah, I know. So no, I'm curious, like, because you're going down to World and gonna be a cast member down there here soon. 12 days, can't wait. I bet you're getting ready to pack. What's your like long-term career goal? Are you gonna work in the the service industry, like tourism? Or are you gonna do something else? What are you looking for?
I'm still honestly trying to figure that out. Like I kind of, for the past couple of years, have been going back and forth between I want to go into ministry or do something in like hotel tourism. I think there's also a part of me that would love to do like travel agency stuff, but I'm just trying to figure that out.
Do something when you're young, do something like, do the ministry thing or something like that. The travel industry thing I would say like hold off on that a little bit. Like I'm glad I did it as a second career because I enjoyed having the fact that I got to be a teacher, because because I know like I'm old right now to most people, but when I get older and I look back on my life a little bit more, I'm going to see myself as a teacher. I'm going to have that as my like identity, that I was a teacher. And that's the thing. I think besides being a parent, the parent is always going to be the number one thing in my life that I'm most proud of, that I was the parent of Paige and Mallory and the husband of Pam. Like those are the three things I'm most proud of in my life. But after that, I'm glad that I will get to say that I was a teacher, because I think that there is just something to be said for that. So I would, not that I'm saying that what I do today is not a great job. I love what I do, but I think that if I had to rank things esteem wise, I like, teacher or, like working in the ministry, like you said. I mean, that is something where you are really out there making a difference. You're helping people in their worst times, and you're getting people through tough situations. I think that's very cool. And I think you'd be really good at it too.
Thanks. I always just said in high school when people would ask me like what I wanted to do, I was like, I just want to make people happy. So as long as I can do that career wise, I think I'll be good.
That's awesome. Well, Abby, if I don't talk to you before you head down to Walt Disney World, you're going to make magic down there. I can tell you, you're going to make a difference because you have the right attitude. You have the right skill set. And Walt would be so excited to have you, doing what you do. It's amazing. So I can't wait to see you. I hope I get down there and get to cross paths with you while you're working. That'd be awesome.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, tell your mom and then the family I said hello.
Will do. Have a good one.
You too. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All righty. 407-413-9395. 407-413-9395. Shout out to Adele, tuned in over in Norway this afternoon. Love that. Love that we can be worldwide as we have these call-in shows, and we're broadcasting live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. And we have another call. Looks like this one is coming in from our friend Alfred up in New York. Alfred, what's going on? Happy Thursday afternoon.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing well. What about yourself?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I had to go to the dentist today, so I'm dealing with that. But
you did that on purpose, man. Ouch.
Yeah, right. I can't take it. Oh,
hang on. I have a sound effect for that.
Yeah.
That's not very nice. Okay. It's not cool.
I have fillings, so I'm all numb and
yeah, it's all good now.
Oh,
till the Novocaine wears off, it's all good.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait till it wears off so I can feel myself again.
Yeah, exactly. The slobber isn't running down your cheek. All right, anyway, let's go. So we got education wise. It's the education hotline this afternoon.
Well, I don't know if you knew this about me, but I was a teacher.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I worked full time pretty much until 2017. And I started out my career as an English teacher. I worked in, I would call it the South Bronx. And that was an experience and a half.
I bet.
hmm Started out, English classroom. What grade was that? Was that fifth grade? I think it was fifth grade or sixth. Sixth. It was sixth grade because it was a middle school. And I was almost let go because the budget.
Yeah.
So everyone loved me. This was only like the second week of school. And everybody in the building loved me. They went to the principal. They said, "You got to keep him. He's the best." So he kept me. And I went to a seventh grade American history.
That's a
I'm
change.
like, what's going on here? I'm like, I never taught history. I don't know history. But what turned out to be so great about that is you teach the Constitution. And that was 2000 when Al Gore and George Bush went to the Supreme Court.
So that was the hanging Chad time, right? Yeah.
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 So that was amazing to teach that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I said, the end of the year came. Well, things happen, while I'm teaching. And I always was animated. So I don't always pay attention to what I'm actually doing. So I ended up in the middle of a fight.
Been there. I was there.
And I got
Girls,
punched in the middle of the back.
It happens. Great. I'm telling you, because I taught sixth grade forever. The worst fights to break up were girl fights between sixth graders. Woo, dude, they'd pull your hair. Yeah. They'd pull each other's hair. They didn't care. They'd pull any hair. Fortunately, I always had short hair. Yeah. So if they got my hair, they didn't really get much of it. But I mean, I had a couple fights where like girls would pull fists out of the other girl's hair out. It was not pretty. Yeah. Girl fights were not. So you want to be in the middle of that.
So this was not fun. So, I made a decision at the end of the year that I was going to resign. And I did. As I said, I can't get punched in the back again. It's just not right. Yeah. So then I got a job near where I am in Yonkers. And I'm like, oh, this is great, close to home. Just like the South Bronx. I'm like, why did I leave? So my first 2 years started out really rough. And I'm like, was this really worth it? And I made a decision that, yes, it was. It was totally worth it for me. But I resigned from that school and I moved on. And it was rough finding work, but I did a homebound tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of fun because you got to go to the kids at home, or you met at the library or wherever, and you gave them their lessons. You kept in contact with the school. You got all their info and stuff like that. I liked that. And the following, in 2003, I got a private school position where I was teaching English and religion.
Nice.
And I loved it. And same thing there. I found out that low enrollment, but they kept me that year. And it was just fun, But they said, we're not having you in the classroom. We're going to put you in the library. So that was great. I taught in the library for 2 years, and it was just so much fun. So I went back to get my master's in library and information science. But then 2008 came along with the economy crashing and all that. But I found a half-year leave replacement, which was great. But then after that, I didn't work for 5 years. And it was 2013, and a local district called me and said, would you like to come in for a leave replacement? I said, absolutely. And I worked there for 2 years. Almost got permanent, but turned out that another woman needed the position because she was full-time, and her position went part-time. So mine was the only open position, and I lost it. But then luckily, another district, but they were building our new bridge, and the traffic was crazy, so I resigned at the end of that year. So I did a lot of resigning.
I've never resigned except one time when I resigned to do the podcast.
So then I went to another school district, and it was just like the South Bronx, but just in a local area. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This was supposed to be one of the better schools in the district, and it's still bad. So I just left. I resigned, but then I got sick and I ended up on disability. So that's my career in a nutshell for the past 20 some odd years.
So you had a lot of different experiences. You taught all kinds of different subjects in different buildings. You got to kind of see it all.
Yep.
It's wild. Well, thank you for doing what you did, because I mean that's awesome that you got to do so much.
Right now, I've been substitute teaching, so
that's hard.
On and off. No, I love it. I love it. I have one building that I go to. I know the people. I just love it. It's so much fun. I go in, I teach, and I go home.
That is the good part.
No paperwork.
I'll give you the bell for that, because that is the bonus of subbing. You don't have to do the grades. You don't have to do the planning.
Yep.
But man, it's hard because you don't have the relationship with the students. That's the tough part for me. So. But
I do, because I go to that one building.
That's a good point. Yeah. If you're like a sub for a building, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to squeeze a couple more calls in here real quick, Alfred. Okay. So let me jump out of here and grab this next one from 956, but appreciate the call, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
We'll see you soon. All right. Thank you.
Later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's get this next call and try to grab it here before it goes away. And our next caller, hey, who's joining us?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, who's this?
This is Patrick from Wisconsin. How's it going?
Patrick. Is this Patrick from the Discord?
Yeah.
Rock on. Hey, how do you like that teacher's lounge we got now going over there? So we have some teacher talk over in the clubhouse. I like it. Your idea.
I was so happy. I was bragging to my wife. I was like, I wished it, and Mike made it happen.
No, and so let me be honest. This show is because of your inspiration. I wanted to. I love your enthusiasm. You and Christy were having this conversation about education in the clubhouse today, and it's kind of started yesterday. And of course, my wife's gone back to school, and I get the itch this time of year. I'm a former teacher, right? I mean, I get the itch every August to I kind of miss setting up the classroom, the optimism of the new school year, getting the new role, seeing who you're going to teach that year, meet the teacher night where the kids come in, the parents come in, they kind of eyeball you, and you got to win them over. It's like a game, right? They're little like, what's this Mr. Rallman all about? And you're like, I'm going to win these people over. Even the ones that say he's the meanest, SOB in the world. No, I'm not, whatever. Right? Somebody must have said that to you. And I'm a nice guy, but I'm going to win you over by Christmas. I promise you. And, I liked playing that game, and I miss the education field. Now, I wouldn't trade it because I love what I do. Getting to do this podcast, getting to work and travel. It's awesome. It's like part 2 of my life. but I miss education. And I love now that we're having this conversation in the clubhouse and I get to be like a third party to it. I get to jump in, even though I'm not in the club anymore. I'm kind of like a pseudo person in the club, but your conversation got me so fired up and I appreciate you. And I wanted to do a show like this kind of in summary to encourage every person who's going back to remind you that we are behind you, that we appreciate you because the work you're doing. I saw a picture of my wife that I posted in the clubhouse today, and I looked on the board behind her. I was kind of zooming in on what was on the whiteboard behind her, and she had a little thing that a kid gave her on the whiteboard that was behind her desk, and it said, "Teaching, the profession that makes every other profession." And I thought about that for
I
a
love
second.
that.
It's awesome, right? I mean, teachers they spark the doctors, the lawyers, the coaches, the ministers, whatever, the postmen, the laborers, whatever, the teachers get it going. So I just wanted to do this to shout out all of our teachers going back to school this time of year and just say thank you. You're going to have a great year. And the main thing is you are appreciated. So Patrick, I appreciate you. Christy, I appreciate you, all of our teachers. And just wanted to say that off the bat, but what's on your mind? I just want to get that off my chest because you are really the inspiration for all this going on this afternoon.
Oh, I love it. Thanks, Mike. Honestly, I mean, I've always liked this since I joined the Discord. It's just such a great community. But and I've always seen, you always talk about your wife being a teacher and you being a former teacher, and then everyone started commenting on it. Or recently, a lot of people were posting, and I realized there's a few teachers in here, like quite a few teachers in here, and so it's just a passing joke, but I love that we have it because I told my wife, I was like, I could not have found a more niche community for myself. They're teachers and they love Disney. And I was like, there's the runners group in here. I was like, I found it,
because there's no nonsense like Twitter. Like, I mean, I'm on Twitter, but it's 95% junk, like you can at least drop in the clubhouse. It doesn't
Right.
move so fast, and it's all people that are kind, like that we have a common bond. We're all looking out for each other and it's just, we're there for the right reasons, I think. And we're blessed. I mean, it's just such a great community. I do adore it.
I will say it's that, like, some of these posts that people have kind of got me like fired up. And I'm somebody who's, I'm going on my 11th year and I've had quite the last 2 or 3, 4 years even, where every year I'm like, I don't know how many more years I can do it.
Been there.
I'll do one more and I'll see how it goes. I always tell my wife, I was like, I'm signing a 1-year contract. That's it. It's a 1-year deal.
Patrick, what I always told my principal, because like in the spring, I don't know if they did this in your district. In the spring, do they bring around the contract for the next year after like our NEA would like ratify the thing, and then you get your contract for the next year, right? And I would always, when I gave it to my principal, I'd always say, I'm a free agent. Like I'm working on a 1-year deal. I'm like I always told her, I'm like, you're getting a good one here, but I'm a free agent after this year. So just, you got to keep working me because I'm a free agent. I can look other districts. And she always laughs because you aren't going anywhere, Rallman. Your wife teaches here. I'm like, you're right. I'm not going anywhere. I like this district, but I'm telling you, I'm a free agent. That's so funny you said that because that's exactly what I would say. Oh, my poor principals. I feel sorry that they had to work with me. I was a pain in the butt.
Oh my God. When I do retire, or if I ever leave the field, my thank you will just include, I'll try to find the list of people that I've annoyed.
Yeah. Oh my God. My list would look like the yellow pages back in the day. It'd be long.
I don't know. Like sometimes I do feel I'm definitely that guy in the meeting where everything's serious and I'm just trying to add like a little light humor to make everybody laugh, even if it's stupid.
Oh yeah. So that was me. Every professional development, my last like 5 years, because I knew like the podcast had taken off to the point where I was working travel and doing the teaching, but I knew like this is probably my last 3 years. I knew that I could leave teaching if I wanted to and probably make a living working the podcast and travel. Like I knew I was okay if I had to leave teaching. So I was doing both. And so I got a little cocky towards the end. And so like, I remember like the last 3 years, and I was also only teaching gifted at this point. And the principal in this place was my best friend in high school's mom. Okay. So I grew up in her basement basically, because that like basically kind of all the church kids went to her basement and like we'd play Nintendo and like she'd give us snacks and all that stuff. So like that was like where we all hung out. Like there's 8 of us. And so now she was my principal. So we'd have these staff meetings, and there's only like 12 on our staff at the Gifted Center. My old school had a staff of 90. So I went to the smaller staff of like, and it was like all older ladies.
Oh,
And
really
it was like all older ladies that all went to Sunday school together, and me. And I went, and like a lot of them went to Sunday school with my parents. So anyway, I'm in there, and so we get ready for professional development, right? You know, like 5-6 times a year. And I'd be like, Ms. Best, that was her, but Ms. Best, I'm fully developed. I am fully developed. Do I need to be? She's like, sit down, Rallman. Sit down, Rallman. You are not. I'm like, I'm fully developed. She's like, stop. I'm like, I'm a roll of film. I'm fully developed. Shut up. Sit down.
A roll of film. I love that.
Yeah, it was not fun. Yeah, it was.
When I discovered, my sister threw me onto your podcast because I was going to stay at Caribbean Beach this summer, and she was like, here's a Disney podcast, because she was a Disney nut. And they talk about, someone had a trip report about Caribbean Beach. This was, I don't know, January, February. But I listened to it. I liked it. And you might have thrown out that you were a teacher. And then I started listening a bunch. And I was like, Rachel, I was like, here's this guy. He just podcasts about Disney, and he used to teach. And then like a while back, I realized that it wasn't that long ago. I thought you had stopped like tons of years ago and then just done the pod. But I don't know. It was like, I feel like a leprechaun who had found their pot of gold. I was like, this is it. And it just keeps giving back.
That makes me happy because I've been so blessed. I mean, even to get to teach, like when I got to teach, I got the best job. You know, it's so weird in education. I was going to share just some of my stories if nobody called in, because I was scared to death nobody would call because of education. But I mean, this has been a blessing that people called in today. It's great.
I got to my classroom to work, and I get the Facebook notifications, and I'm like, mic's on. Oh, that's cool. Like, flip it on. You're talking about teaching. I was like, no way.
Well, it's because you posted all that stuff this morning on the Discord. It's your fault. No, just kidding. But the thing is, like, you know, I was so lucky because when I student taught, we got 2 placements, right, in student teaching as an elementary school. Like we did what was called a 717 program. So you did 7 weeks in one district. You had 1 week where you went back and kind of reflected on that, like for a week back to the university. Then you did 7 weeks in another school district. So you were in 2 different districts basically to get 2 different experiences in the field, but also so you could make contact in those 2 districts, right? So maybe potentially get jobs in those districts because you were making connections in different districts, right? And the one district I got placed in was the district I wanted to teach in. It was my district I grew up in. I went to high school there. You know, I was like honor student in that district. I played varsity sports in that district. I was like, I'm going back to my home school district, you know, like as the hero teacher. I went to that district. I didn't enjoy teaching in that district with the teacher, my cooperating teacher, that kind of stuff. She was teacher of the year twice in the district. She was a great teacher, but she never let me teach. Like she was always just like, watch me. I was teacher of the year. Watch me. And the thing was, it was 6th grade. It was the grade I wanted to teach. And it killed me because I was so excited to teach 6th grade in Hazelwood, where I went to in my district where I grew up. I was so excited for this. And then it was not what I expected. And the thing was, then I went to the other side of our town, which was like the poor side of town, and ended up teaching 2nd grade, where I was like, I do not want to go to this district because it's the low rent district, right? And it was 2nd grade. I'm like, dude, I am never teaching 2nd grade. I can't teach little kids. I had the best cooperating teacher. She took me under her wing from day one. I was hands getting dirty, planning. Like I was meet the teacher. I was just like equal with this lady who's taught 25 years and fell in love with the building. I mean, I met my wife there eventually, and I loved it. Like the staff loved me as like we were family. And it's funny how, you know, I think as we put this podcast out, and, you know, as educators, we're always looking for reasons to kind of just, you know, talk about life, is that you don't always get what you're expecting, right? I mean, I was expecting 100% to fall in love with teaching in my home district and was super disappointed. But then because of that, I went into this other opportunity. I only had the other opportunity to go to it was Ferguson Florissant School District. And I went there and just fell in love. And because of that, the blessings just kept flowing. I had so many opportunities. I got to teach at Space Camp because Boeing was connected to this district, not that district. You basically just have to keep your eyes open, keep your heart open, keep your mind open, and just, you know, bring your work, your lunch bucket to work every day and give 100% and let things fall into place. I think, right?
Yeah. And enjoy, I mean, like we do get summers off. Enjoy it. Like you get a break. There's not many professions that do that. And you do have those moments. One of the callers 2 calls ago talking about the parent that stopped them in the store. I had a parent do that to me I left the district a couple of years ago, and it was just a very tough year, and I wanted something different for my administration. But I still live in the same town that I used to teach in, and this guy just pulls over on the side of the road while I'm walking my dogs. And I'm thinking, I was like, uh-oh, this is it. Like someone's coming for me. And because the first question was almost a little threatening, he was like, "Are you Mr. Ralph?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "My son had you 2 years ago, and you were like the best thing for him. And we just so appreciate you, and we wish you'd come back." And I was like, "Oh, whew."
That will stick with you forever, right? Because that person did not. The thing is, like they made a conscious decision to pull the car over. Like they had to think about all the cognition that had to happen for that to like they had to see you and say, "Is that him?" And then they had to make a conscious decision to say, "I'm actually going to take the time and take the chance to pull over and make this contact," because you could have been a jerk, and said, why are you bugging me? I'm walking my dogs. I mean, people do that. I mean, but teachers don't, but you don't know that you're going to say that. I mean, this person, you had to have had a huge impact on that student's life for that parent to go that far out of the way to make sure you knew that. I mean, when those things happen, that is truly special.
And it was one of those, I'm sure you know this, but there are some families where like, I feel like this is more typical where the mom does a lot of the communicating. Like, and I hate that. Like, one of the best things I actually like about this community is I feel like there are a lot of dads involved in Disney.
Yeah,
but in like education, I do feel like there's a lot more moms that'll do a lot of the communicating for education. And so I never heard from this guy. So this was the first time I had ever met or talked to him. I didn't even know he was this kid's dad. And so I was like, wow, like that will stick with me.
That is super cool. Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, you know what? But in today's day, it's like, I can check that off as a parent contact. If you're not in education, you don't know, but it's like, oh yes, this quarter or this week, I made that parent contact. I only have 89 more to go, so I can check my list. That's how bad it is.
And that's a positive right there.
Yeah,
you got to count the positive one.
100%.
They make you do that. You got to have a positive parent phone.
So let me ask you this. So growing up, though, I mean, you got into education. Was there a teacher or a moment you remember from elementary, middle, high school, something like that, a teacher that went out of the way that, I mean, still sticks with you that like, man, I'm carrying a little bit of that teacher with me in my lessons and in my philosophy and how I approach my students every day?
I was thinking about this just because it's the topic, but I don't know if there was a one. I do remember, I don't think I appreciated teachers until I got to high school. I felt like every teacher there was a rock star. Like I felt like they were all experts in whatever their field was. Like the chemistry teacher, I thought this guy knows more about chemistry than anybody, and he's cool. And like, just for whatever reason, I started to connect with teachers. And like you said, playing the game, like I probably, drew the line of kid who like, has a smart mouth, and looking back, I probably would have hated my own self.
Yep. Me too.
But the teachers all treated me really well.
Right.
And in everyone, like whether it's chemistry teacher, engineering, physics, math, whatever it was, I just felt like my high school felt like such a cool like community in place. And those teachers made me feel really good about myself. So the guy said it a couple calls ago. I don't know if there was a one that's like, this is why I'm teaching, and I think it's almost, I don't want to say it's better, but I look back at all the teachers I had. Like once I did decide to go into education, I was like, man, I had a lot of good ones. Like there's a lot of them I need to go back and thank. It's not really just a one. There were so many good people for me that just cared about me as a person.
And that's a great point. And you brought up something I think is really vital too. It's that a lot of times what people are going to remember isn't the outstanding long division lesson that you delivered on that Thursday, December 7th, whatever it was, you thought you knocked it out of the park, 4x2 long division, oh man, I nailed it in that third section of math in 6th grade. You thought you did, cha-ching, you did it. No, they're not going to remember that. What they're going to remember is how you made them feel as a person, right? Did you make them feel valued? Did you make them feel comfortable and be able to take chances, because think about that. I mean, we did read alouds a lot in my classroom, and some of the students were really fluent readers, but I would get up there and tell them that, I wasn't the most fluent reader when I was in school. And I went to a private school when I was in elementary school where we had to get up, and at the beginning of each month we had to recite Bible verses. You got a section of the Bible that was like, it would be like 10 to 12 verses. And the way it worked, because it was your religion grade, you had to say them by heart. If you said them on the first day of the month, you got what was called the Go-Getter Award. So you got an A plus. If you said them the first week, you got an A, the second week, a B, the third week, a C, the fourth week, a D. If you didn't say them within the month, you got an F. And that was just how it was. And I just told them that I learned because I was good at that game. I have a very photographic memory. So basically what I was doing was going up in front of the classroom and reading the Bible verses. Now, I did the work, right? I remember, because you come up with strategies, right? We didn't have school buses at that school. So my parents drove me to school every day. It was about 15-20 minute ride. And I'd sit in the back seat, and my mom would, she would say the Bible verse and I'd repeat it back. We just like go back and forth. You do one verse and the second verse, you'd add it all together. So you got all 10 or 12. So that's, you built it up. It's just like learning a song basically. But the thing is, I had a friend named Tim, and he was smart, but he could never get up there and recite the Bible verses. And it wasn't that he was a dumb kid. It was just that his brain worked differently. But, I went to elementary school in the 80s. Right. And the thing was, we only had one class of each grade. So we only had like 18 in my grade all the way through. So it wasn't like those huge, it wasn't like these huge public schools with all these resources. We didn't have any resources. He was the son of a minister, and, he was kind of labeled as like slow or something. And I look back and I feel terrible, because I wish the teachers would have known back then how to handle Tim, because he was my friend.
Right.
And I know he was hurt, because he had to get up there and attempt this January and February and March. And I just wonder like how he felt come the end of the month, every month, oh my gosh, it's the end of December. Here come the January Bible verses, and here comes my nightmare again, where I just play the game. It was just part of life. You just have to, at the end of the month, you start learning your next month's passages. But you just wonder, because, teachers are out there doing these things, and we all learn differently. And, I think that's one of the things I think teachers are really good at nowadays that we weren't good at back then, is really seeing students for their abilities and how they're all different. Right. Because I was great at school, because back then it was taking tests and basically just memorizing facts. And I can memorize facts like nobody's business, because I have photographic memory. But it's different nowadays.
So you were the kid who got to high school math, and you were like, wait, what's this? It's a different language.
Right. And I wasn't great at math. And so, I didn't take like calculus. I didn't take, I took all the way to, I think, advanced algebra. I took advanced geometry. I took enough to where I took it, where I got my advanced, because you had to take a Missouri college prep course, like the hard thing. I took the highest level you had to take for that, but I didn't go beyond that. I didn't take calculus or any crazy thing like that, because I knew I wasn't going to need it to be a teacher. Right. It's like, I'm not going into engineering. I'm not going to be an astronaut. I can't see. So that was off the table. I'm like, why kill myself? Right. I'm not good at that. But I was a writer. Like, I wrote for the yearbook. I wrote for the newspaper. We had like a literary magazine. I wrote for that. Like, I was more of that kind of person, like creative, in that kind of sense. But I always hope that each student doesn't have to wait to high school to find their passion. Maybe they could find it in middle school. Maybe they could find it in, elementary school even. And teachers that are starting the school year, they already know this. Teachers are awesome, but really early in the school year, find what that each student is really passionate about and how they learn, and develop that, make that an asset, not a liability. Really, really work with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm really excited. This is the first time I've ever looped with my same class. So I know them really well, but I've always been interested to I wish I could do this every year. Just follow them, and I want to see how you keep turning out. I want to see what is new in your life. What new interests do you have? What things are you discovering that you're good at?
Yeah. So Patrick, I looped one time because I taught fifth grade 1 year, because we had our district reorganized one year, and they had to take teachers and shift them to different buildings because they switched the boundaries and stuff. And so my really good friend, he was in our wedding, Dave, he got shifted out of 5th grade to another school in our district. He had to go teach like on the other side of the district, way far away. So I got put in 5th grade in actually his spot because we lost the 6th grade section. So I ended up going to 5th grade, and I taught the 5th grade. But then the next year, of course, they went back to to the same amount of 6th grades, and I looped with them. It was tell you that was the best class I ever had, was my looped class, because you already have the relationship. So you're in for a treat. You're gonna love looping. It's great. But I don't want to keep you. I know you're at school, so thank you for calling in. And I just want to say thank you for everything. You have such a good heart over there in the clubhouse, and I just thank you for being in that classroom. And you're gonna have an awesome year. Your kids are so lucky to have you, and your parents too.
Thanks so much, Mike. Thanks for all you do and setting up this Discord. You make that part of my life really happy.
Well, hey, I hope to see you every day over there. Just know you're appreciated. You definitely are. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir. And I'm glad your voice sounds good, by the way.
I'm trying. Oh my God.
You shouldn't worry that it never sounded bad.
Whew, that was rough, man. I mean, it was 2 hours out of anesthesia. So that was the dumbest idea in the world, but I was not losing the streak. I told that lady, that nurse, I'm not losing the streak. Get me out of here. And I did. So we got it going.
All right. Keep it real, Cal.
All right. Well, take care. Take care, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, Mike.
All right. So that is going to just about do. Jennifer here in the live chat, though, she says, what a great question for right now. She says, I had an amazing English teacher in high school that really allowed me to dive into my love of reading. That love has stuck with me ever since. And again, as we kind of wrap up this little hour we had together here on a Thursday afternoon, just impromptu, and it really was kind of Patrick and Christy were talking over in our Discord, over in the clubhouse at beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. We set up a little sub thread for them called the Teachers Lounge, and anybody can jump in there because we've all had teachers. You don't have to be a teacher to get in on the conversation. Jump in there. Encourage our teachers in our community. Tell them, thank you for doing what you're doing. Have a great year. We appreciate you. I think that's the best thing we can do this time of year. Even if your kids are older and you don't have students that are going to your elementary school anymore. You know, I don't. Mallory's our youngest. She's in high school, and we didn't go use the elementary schools out here because we just moved out here when she was in middle school, but maybe we swing by the middle school that she used to go to around here and just wish those teachers good luck. You know, one of her former teachers, if we see them in the community, because tomorrow night we'll have our football jamboree. So the whole community will be up watching our preview of our football team as they scrimmage against a couple other teams. Is we see those teachers out in the community to say thanks. And I hope you have an outstanding year. Thanks for what you do. I think the biggest thing we can give teachers, because we can't give them bigger checks. I wish we could. We're not going to be, you and I can't do that. Other people could, but it's probably not going to happen. But what we can do, one thing that absolutely we can do, is encourage teachers and just say thank you. And what you're doing makes a difference every day, because teachers do take that to heart, and they need that more than ever right now, because it's hard to be in those classrooms. It's so hard. So much is expected of a teacher every single day, but they are making a difference. I mean, think about it. I guarantee you probably had a teacher that made a difference for you. That's why you're sitting where you are today. It's why you're successful. And so I love the idea that we got to have this hour together, that we had these calls, and that we got to, hopefully encourage some teachers that are hearing this today. And maybe you'll shoot off that email. Like Eric said, you'll take 5 minutes, Google your teacher's name from 3rd grade, your 7th grade social studies teacher, like I have, which I think I'm going to do. I might have to look up Mr. Slaywin. His name was Edward Slaywin, and see what he's doing. Hopefully he's still with us. I'm pretty old. That's the problem when you're as old as I am. You hope your teachers are still with you. But just because I never told Mr. Slaywin at all. Like, I was a nobody in his classroom. I promise you, he does not remember Mike Rallman. There's no way he remembers me, because I was just an average student. And I mean, I was kind of a clown sometimes in that class, but I doubt he remembers me, because he had all kinds of sections, and it was a huge middle school that I went to. But just the way he seemed to care about students, the way he delivered his instruction was exceptional. And there was just a day there that I wanted to, I thought that'd be a cool thing to do, to teach. And of course, Mallory, her middle name, she's named after an instructor that Pam and I both had at the University of Missouri. And she had a huge impact on my educational philosophy and Pam's educational philosophy. We both had her. And that's why Mallory has her middle name. So Mallory is actually named after a teacher that we both had, her middle name. And she became a friend of our family because we both told her how important she was to us. And that's another story for another day. So we're going to wrap this up, and I'll maybe share this as Mike in the Midwest this episode because I think that everybody has a teacher story. But if you have one, drop it in the comments, patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. If this is the Mike in the Midwest episode, and if you give me some feedback, if you like these call-in shows, like kind of switching it up, I kind of like to give you a longer episode, a little bit more, kind of just something different. We can go back to the other kind of format of shows too, if you like. I just want to give our patrons exactly what they like for the feed. But if not, I just wanted to get together and see what everybody's up to. But I thought it's the proper time of year to get out there and give some encouragement to our teachers so you have a great school year, because we are behind you 100%. All right, so I'm going to jump out of here and wish you a great Thursday or a great Sunday whenever you're listening to this show. Who knows? But until we get back together again, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and hit those books. All right, everybody, we will see you soon. Thanks for hanging with me. Have a great Thursday, everybody. I get to have breakfast for dinner tonight with my nephew, and I'm pumped for that. We're going to IHOP. Yes. Talk to you soon.